And we are back, and we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, people. You know, it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us. Now, y'all, in case you didn't know, in case you haven't heard the news, over 100 undocumented individuals were arrested in Colorado overnight. Over 100, y'all. And among them, among the arrestees, not just 100 undocumented people, but many U.S. citizens included. And you're talking about at least 12 active duty U.S. service members, military members, in addition to the 100 undocumented people. So this was a major thing, major operation that went down by the DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration. Y'all, what's going on? What is really going on, y'all? Let's jump right into the news about this.
Hello, I'm Diane Derby with an update to breaking news. More than 100 undocumented migrants are in custody right now after an overnight raid at an underground nightclub in Colorado Springs. That's according to the Drug Enforcement Administration. It happened this morning on the southeast side of Colorado Springs. This is just northwest of the intersection of South Academy Boulevard and Airport Road. Take a look at this video the DEA posted on X. You can see law enforcement breaking a window at a building as dozens of people start running out of it. The DEA says more than a dozen active duty members of our military were either working in this underground nightclub as security or there as patrons.
We're here on the scene of an underground nightclub where over 300 federal law enforcement, along with our local partners from El Paso County and Colorado Springs PD, executed an enforcement operation this morning. It's a drug investigation. We seized quite a number of guns and took a number of people into custody.
The DEA says drugs and weapons were seized during this operation. News 5's Allison Zimmerman has been live at the scene since early this morning. She's been talking with the special agent in charge of the DEA Rocky Mountain Field Division. Allison, what are you learning right now?
And Diane, the special agent in charge from the DEA is saying that Colorado Springs is waking up to a safer city after this massive operation took place overnight. Now, what we know is more than 300 federal law enforcement officers arrived here. Again, we're in southeast Colorado Springs. We're directly across the street from the Satellite Hotel, just to give you an idea of just exactly where we are. And as you mentioned, this was an underground nightclub, a very big drug trafficking investigation, and then resulted in more than 100 illegal immigrants being detained here today.
And give us some perspective here, 300 law enforcement officers, what brought about this kind of requirement, this kind of need to be here with that show of force?
So this is an underground illegal nightclub, okay? And what was happening inside was significant drug trafficking, prostitution, crimes of violence. We seized a number of guns in there. We had active duty service members who were running security at the club and involved in some of these crimes. And in fact, we had over 100 illegal aliens inside as well. And those over 100 illegal aliens were taken into custody by ICE.
We do know that there were a couple of other people that were also detained for having state warrants as well. And you certainly mentioned the military presence. Perhaps one of the most shocking, stunning details this morning that we were hearing is about a dozen active duty military members that were here overnight in this underground nightclub. And they were saying how they are now being referred over to the Army Criminal Investigations Division. But we do not know if they are active duty service members stationed at Fort Carson.
Active duty service members helping as security here. Can you elaborate on that at all?
So it's an ongoing investigation, but we had over a dozen active duty service members in the club tonight, either as patrons or working as armed security.
How many of those were detained and what are they facing right now?
So Army CID was one of our partners out here, and they're going to work with us on what the next steps for those active duty service members looks like.
Certainly, we know that Army CID is investigating, but when we were speaking with the special agent in charge with the DEA, this is one of the things he talked about when we were specifically focusing on the illegal immigrants and this big drug investigation. Take a listen.
These crimes go hand in hand, right? When we find drug trafficking and prostitution, unfortunately, we're finding a lot of illegal aliens. 200 people in this club, a lot of drug trafficking happened, weapons, prostitution, over half the people inside were illegals.
You mentioned that this is a drug trafficking operation. Can you elaborate on any drugs you found, the amount, any charges you anticipate that could come out of tonight?
So as you may suspect, when the cops showed up at the door, most of the drugs hit the floor. And we did find cocaine. It looks like some pink cocaine or the Tusi. And there was a little bit of other drugs, but we haven't had time to test everything. But there were dozens of small packages of drugs that they've recovered so far that I have personally seen.
How we got involved in this location?
This has been a long-term investigation by DEA and a number of our federal partners. And so we've been working on this underground nightclub for a number of months, doing undercover, surveillance, a lot of other work to identify what's going on here. And again, you know, months-long information about drug trafficking and prostitution happening inside.
And also, here's a look at just what the scene looked like when we arrived. We showed up around 3 o'clock this morning, and it was a really active scene. More than 200 people were inside of this underground nightclub, and as I mentioned, about 300 just federal law enforcement officers here. So that just goes to show you such a big response here. Things are certainly a lot quieter right now compared to when we first arrived at 3 o'clock this morning, but a big response here, and the special agent in charge saying that this is certainly important as they are taking a look at some of the criminal activity. And they also mentioned that there were other parts of the city that they were having these investigations this morning. We'll continue to follow up and let you know as we learn more.
So you said there were federal law enforcement. How many people were actually inside of this underground nightclub?
We estimate over 200 people were inside the nightclub when we came here tonight. And so that's why we needed such a large force. You know, anytime you're dealing with that many people, we want to do it safely, and that's what we did.
Because of the nature of the nightclub, are all of them facing charges? Everyone inside?
No, they're not. A lot of people were turned away. As I said, over 100 went into ICE custody. A few people went on state arrest warrants. They had outstanding warrants. And we actually have a few other operations pending right now across the city. We're waiting to determine if there'll be other arrests from those.
So y'all, there you can see, we have Houston, we have a problem, right? I mean, 100 people, guns, drugs, United States service members. It kind of boggles the mind, but I suspect we're going to continue to see these types of news stories coming out more and more, because obviously there are people who are still willing to risk it. There are people who are still willing to commit illegal activities. There are people who are still willing to gather in large groups, even though they know the political climate and the legal climate right now is to find people and kick them out of the country. So I'd like to know what you have to say about this. It's a shocking story that's making the rounds today. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. But before you do, share this story out. Please tap that share button. Put in somebody's Facebook, email, Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, text message. Just put them all in. And of course, you already know, if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. Thank y'all. Love y'all. We'll catch you back in the next one.